It's No Cap Radio. Sit back and crack a seal on something and vibe out with us. Like my man Domi said, man, they didn't think it was so. This is episode 7. It's a true blessing to be here, y'all. Spiritually, they say 7 is the number of completion, but we just getting started. Got my man Domi Dow Jones.
What's happening?
I'm Eazy. Now tuned in to No Cap Radio.
No cap. Man, so here we are, episode 7, man. This is a special episode, not only because it's the number 7, but because we actually have the DJ Master Hurrikane, the producer as well. Me and him have been making music for years, you know, but the special reason why we have him on the show today is because unfortunately he has fallen victim to the COVID-19 and was admitted to the hospital and the whole nine. So we wanted to talk to him about his journey, and hopefully that'll be a lesson learned and raise more awareness for people who are not following, you know, guidelines per se and stuff like that. So welcome to the show, man. See you. Know, glad you're here, man.
Yeah, man, good to be here.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, as y'all see, we in our new spot, you know, trying something new and Eazy that came through for us. So, you know, it's definitely a blessing, man. And before we get into the whole interviewing, we got to pick up from last show because I'm almost 100% certain that Diddy saw the last show.
Yeah, man, he tuned in. He definitely tuned in.
He gave us a view, man, because if y'all don't know, Diddy is just announced on Revolt, he's about to start our own black party, our own political party, and that's what a lot of episode 6 was about. Was just, you know, what is the Democratic Party for us, and it's about just using the power that we have, leveraging that, and using the Democratic Party as kind of a pivot, you know, into something for our own that represents us, because we're not being represented, and like he said, we weren't a talking point. You know, and a lot of people, I don't know if y'all watched the town hall, but they would ask Trump questions like, for instance, the nurse say, oh, a lot of us are getting laid off, we taking pay cuts, and they'll ask, what are you gonna do? And he goes and say, oh, well, I've done this and that. That's, you know what I mean? But people still getting laid off, you know?
Favorite line, man. It did so much for this and that, and nothing. You don't see no results.
It's just like us, right? Like he say he's done the most for black people, but this has been one of the most trying year as far as police brutality killing black folk.
Right.
Among other things, yeah.
Amongst a lot of other things.
The first thing everybody has to remember is everything Trump says is pretty much a lie. So when he says he's going to do something, if you don't have a way to hold him accountable to do that, he's not going to do it. So like this whole controversy going on with Ice Cube right now, for instance, it's to me silly, because at the end of the day, Ice Cube should have known better than believing anything Trump says to begin with.
Yeah.
Just taking a meeting is not enough.
Yeah, and I don't fault him for it though, you know what I mean? Because I feel like
he made a business decision.
Yeah, you know, he got it, because the thing is, we don't know what's gonna happen in this election. You know what I mean? So see what you can find out, see what you can at least put a bug in somebody's ear, you know, let them know that you're trying to do something and see if he's willing to even, you know what I mean, bend or break on anything.
I mean, you should take a meeting with anybody because, you know, at the end of the day, you don't know what you may offer that may change a person's position.
Right.
I mean, there's a possibility that someone else in the room could hear it and push him to do something on it if he's reelected. And it's not to say that the Biden people aren't going to listen in the future. We don't know what's going to occur. So,
Right.
I'm not mad at Ice Cube for having a meeting with Trump, because I feel like, you know, a smart man would meet with someone who's even in opposition to him at the end of the day, because how is she going to get anything done if you don't at least have a willingness to meet, you know? But at the end of the day, most things that Trump says are not going to be true, and most people should know that by this point. I've had various examples.
Right.
What is the wall that he built 500 feet of wall and it fell down? 4 years later.
And I think he campaigning on that again.
Yeah.
But I don't think Q cared who he was meeting with. He just wanted to make sure that the agenda of Black America was being met.
From his perspective.
Either side.
But the agenda that's set is his perspective of what the agenda should be. It's not all of us.
Yeah.
It's not, he didn't go out and get popular opinion or anything. I mean, there's some obvious issues that are going to attach, that are attached to all this: police brutality, economic situations, the myth of black on black violence. And I say myth because we need to stop saying black on black crime, because crime is crime. It just happens in more poverty-stricken areas than it does in affluent areas, but crime is crime. It doesn't matter. That's a whole other topic though.
Yeah.
But once again, that's Cube's version or vision of what the agenda is. It's not necessarily a collective of everyone's perspective. And I'm not sure how.
Yeah, but I think it's some unwritten laws that we would just all agree with at this point.
I agree. That's what I said. Police brutality.
Still don't gotta explain.
There's certain items that always seem to affect us more than other groups of people. But beyond that, okay, you get the big ones out of the way. We all know that. So what are you going to do as far as implementing a plan to make those things be better?
Well, we need to know what that plan was, what that plan is and what his plan consists of and all that.
Diddy and Cube need to link up. That's what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all need to come together, man. That's what we would listen to in the show. Even if you got differences, man, come here, we all reach the same goal at the end of the day.
I think hip hop is gonna step up and be the ones who really allow our voices to be heard and opinions and things that matter to us be, reach the level and get the attention that it needs to get.
Between hip hop and sports, man, those are the biggest platforms that we have.
Well, they're definitely two of the biggest. One thing that I've been thinking about recently is, you see other communities unite around certain kinds of subjects, like you look at the Jewish community, not to stereotype groups of people, but they're known for certain things, Asian communities known for certain things. And then I started asking myself, well, what do black people contribute, black Americans in particular, contribute to American society that they can hold hostage if they needed to get people to do what we want? Right? We create probably 80% of the content that everyone else consumes. Through music, through athletic events, through movies, television shows. So the power that we really have in I think I forgot the exact number, but it's a couple $1 trillion that we contribute to the economy.
Yeah.
We don't really have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
Well, if we just say, well, we're not going to play sport. I started realizing that when the teams start boycotting sports and what the NBA did and how they flipped and around and reversed themselves in WNBA, I said, wow, if we control the creative content more, we'll be able to get more of what we want in the country just as a political.
Yeah, the power of that boycott.
Yeah, because if there ain't no sports, you saw what happens. If there's no sports, no one's making any money off it.
Yeah.
So those 32 team owners said, nah.
Yeah, they head spin.
We got to flip something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how we hold people accountable. If we take away the creative content, the networks will starve, the movie houses will starve, the music industry will starve, all the things that rely on African Americans to entertain the rest of the country will suddenly starve. So then negotiations will have to happen. What do we need to do to bring you back in?
Now you have leverage. That
is the leverage that we have as a group, as far as our whole group. Now, some of us have technical skills, some of us have creative skills, some of us combine those things together. We just need to learn how to use that in order to help those that don't have as much as some of us have.
So hopefully we're doing that with No Cap Radio, giving y'all a little bit of inspiration as well as educating and being educated. So, speaking of that, with that said, being that COVID, we're on our second wave going into the fall, and you were a survivor of COVID-19. So when you first started, I guess, having symptoms, what was it like? Did you get a fever? Did you go?
Yeah, I had all of those things that you hear about in the news. So I was doing well. I was wearing a mask. I was washing my hands. I was doing all the things that were prescribed for us to do as a society, social distancing, and all that kind of stuff. I reduced where I was going on a weekly basis. So I basically had the same places I was going all the time. But I think where I caught it honestly is at an office building that I had to go to. Because my job demanded that we start coming back in, right? I went to the joint one time. 3 days later, I started coughing. Okay, my voice got hoarse, extreme. Then it just progressively got worse. I went to CVS to have a test done, but the test wasn't gonna come back for a week. In that time, I went over to one of the emergency centers. I'm not gonna say which one on here. And it basically was like, yeah, we think you might have COVID. There's really nothing we can do for you. So go home and try to medicate yourself.
Right.
So by medicating myself, I mean take, Tylenol, take your fever, things like that. Cough was getting worse.
They knew you had COVID and sent you home?
They felt like I probably had it.
What can they really do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
they were in an emergency center. They weren't in an actual hospital. They sent me back home.
Well, even if you're at the hospital, what are they really going to do?
It's an
Well, I'm gonna get to that part.
Okay.
But the emergency center could have done more because they're an ancillary arm of a hospital in this area. Okay, so they could have done more. They could refer me.
I see what you're saying.
They just didn't have a very caring attitude. Okay.
Yeah.
So I went back home and the symptoms kept getting worse. I reached 102-degree fever. It wasn't going down no matter what I did. All my normal methods, like a flu, there's certain things I would do to break a fever. Sweat myself, take certain medications. None of that was working. Then I started having bowel movements like every hour and an hour, so I was getting dehydrated. And it was a Thursday, and why is that funny? It was a Thursday.
Keep going, man. Keep going, bro.
Well, it was a Thursday, man. I was at home and I still had the symptoms. I went in the bathroom. I came out of the bathroom. For some reason, I sat on the floor. And my wife came in and saw me sitting on the floor and was like, "You need to go to the hospital."
You ain't right.
She had been telling me for 3 days by that point that I needed to go to the hospital. And mind you, the test hadn't come back from CVS, right? So I was hoping it was just an allergy thing or a cold thing, not COVID. And I just gave in at that point because I was nervous about going to the hospital because everything I had seen in the media was like, if you go in the hospital, you die. I mean,
stop playing.
if you look at, I look at the news a lot just because I'm a political person.
So
If you go to the hospital, you die.
That's how I felt because everything I was seeing visually on TV
and I agree
was
because
corpses and morgues and morgues they had in New York.
As a result of being in the hospital.
Yeah, so my mind was connecting the two together. Like, man, you go to the hospital, you might not come out that way.
well, then that makes sense because I think people that had symptoms that wasn't even related to COVID, they didn't want to go to the hospital because it feels like you walking into a COVID,
Well, the hospitals, now I ended up calling the ambulance 911 because I was so weak at that point, I couldn't even walk out of the apartment, okay? So they had to come in with the ambulance came in and I couldn't even walk down the stairs. So they had to basically carry me out of that joint and put me in the ambulance. And then they did some stuff while I was in the back, check the heart rate and all that, but they could tell my oxygen was low. So what COVID does actually is it just starves your body of oxygen. And that's pretty much what is the killer. And then it attacks other systems in your body as well, but not just your respiratory system. So I go to the hospital. Now I'm gonna shout this hospital out because they took good care of me. I went to Spotsylvania Regional Medical down here in South Point first. And
went there. We'll go to that other one,
yeah, well, I went there, you know what I'm saying? I chose to go there.
Yeah.
And I get in there, and by that point, I think that's when I was really getting bad because I was shouting at the attendants. It basically was creating like a psychological situation. You know what I'm saying? So they kept coming in the room like every 20 minutes, and they were in full face shields and body suits, and they had like a little hose on the back of the joint, looked like something out of an alien movie or something.
Man.
And
what made you shout at them like
well,
that?
because in my mind I felt like they were trying to kill me. Because now what that was
paranoid for real.
Well, that's COVID in some patients creates a type of psychosis. You know what I'm saying? Where you actually having a psychological thing going on inside your mind about what was happening to you. So
yeah, because your brain ain't getting the oxygen.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, you know, like later on, after everything was over, my wife told me how she had come to the hospital because, and she was outside the window and she said, I like waved at her and my son, but I don't remember none of that. The last thing that I remember was them putting a mask over my face and basically putting me under at that point. Now, when I read the hospital report later, because they gave me the full like report of what they did and all that, that first day, they said basically I had respiratory failure that day. So I basically was dead on the table, okay? They transported me by helicopter from Spotsylvania Regional Medical down to Chippenham Hospital in Richmond. And shout out to the people at Chippenham because they took real good care of me. So I was there for 2 weeks on a ventilator, being fed intravenously, okay? Totally unconscious and whatnot. So in the process of that, before I went to the hospital, I weighed 294 pounds. Yes, I know I was fat, okay? In that process of going through this, I lost 50 pounds in 2 weeks. Yeah, so when I woke up finally, I didn't know where I was because I was in another city. The room was completely different. It was almost like a dream. It's foggy, you know what I'm saying? There's gaps in my memory of things, and so I had to get all that 2 weeks filled in by everybody else, like, you know, my family, the nurses at the hospital, stuff like that. So doctor comes in, lets me know, you know, I had COVID, which is type 2 SARS, which is upper respiratory pneumonia. And so basically they performed surgery, or they did some process, I don't even really know or understand what it was, to remove the pneumonia out of my body. And so it was gone by the time that I woke up. I had been without it for probably 3 days before I woke up. And I was in the hospital for another 6 days after I woke up. When I first woke up, I couldn't remember what had happened. A lot of details were foggy. I was still going through issues mentally because they gave me steroid injections, every day. Like shot me right in the stomach right here. Powerful steroids as well. So it was, I mean, I'm just saying, so when I hear the president talk about
tripping, man.
Yeah, I was tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like but in a dark way. Like, you know, the kind of things that were in my mind.
And you already paranoid, man, so I know you were.
Well, I'm not a paranoid person in general, but
in that hospital though.
It wasn't a feeling of paranoia, it was more the feeling of loneliness and isolation. Because I'm in a room, no one else would come in.
Were you thinking you were gonna die in there? Like
before.
Once you got to Chippenham, you were like,
when I woke up, yeah, then it was just a recovery process. Now,
man, shout out to y'all. What Chippenham Hospital, man. Shout out to Chippenham Hospital in Richmond, man, for saving this man's life.
Yeah,
and many others.
Yeah,
I'm sure they get
other patients here too.
Yeah. So shout out to y'all. And man,
the thing with the disease is you can't be in a room with anybody else. So I was completely isolated. My family couldn't even come see me. You know, so after the first day, you know, I started getting phone calls from my family and stuff. So that you sit in a room by yourself, can't do nothing. I ain't have my phone. I didn't even have my glasses. Now I went in with my glasses, but when my wife came over, they basically gave her my phone, my glasses, or whatever. If I, you know, so imagine if you can't see without your glasses and you don't have them for 6 days, how annoying that is, okay? So there was that, there was the being alone for all those hours a day, all those machines being hooked up to you, because they still did COVID tests on me daily to make sure that I didn't have any sign of it in my body and whatnot. And I was taking steroid shots every day. I couldn't even really walk for the first 3 days.
and what the test negative? When did they know?
But I was negative before I even woke up. But they kept testing me
to see if it would
make sure it didn't come back.
Yeah.
And I had to pass all those tests before I could get released from the hospital.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Because they wouldn't let me out of the hospital if I still had it.
Exactly.
So, you know, I'm completely free and clear.
Yeah, you ain't Trump, man. You don't get out while you got it and get to go home.
Well,
You know?
See, it's
slide around,
that's
you
what I'm
leave the bed.
Someone who's been through it and seeing what he was doing, it makes me question whether he really had it.
Yeah.
Something was going on. Something.
It might not have been
but it may not
COVID.
have been that.
Man, we talked about that on one of these shows.
Yeah, but I mean, and the big thing to me is when you think about his age, you know,
Yeah,
you think
he's in high
you
school.
think they hit him pretty hard.
A little, probably a lot longer, because you was in for, what, a month? You was there.
How long was
I think August the 11th, 12th, somewhere around there is when I went to the hospital at Spotsylvania Regional. And then I woke up around the 24th, 23rd, something like that. And then I was still there for another 6 days before they would allow me to leave.
So this was, you said a month? About a month?
I mean, pretty much the whole month of August when he's done.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I ain't even trying to be funny, man. It sound like, I don't know if y'all seen, was it 28 days later?
yeah.
That sound like some zombie apocalypse type stuff. If you had to be by yourself, you know, it's just like what you see in the movies. Then you wake up and you don't see nobody, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it was complete isolation, and you know, the only contact I had was, you know, with the nurses.
Right.
That's why I'm shouting them out, because that was really my only contact with other people other than phone calls I've ever seen. So imagine not having a cell phone, so they took that from me.
Right.
So most people can't remember any phone numbers. And I was already foggy in the mind anyway because of the steroids and other things that were going on. I couldn't even remember phone numbers to call anybody and say, hey, what's up? Just to hear people's voices and stuff. So basically, yes, I woke up down in Chippenham, and the nurses there and the staff there was real helpful in getting back, you know, aware of what's going on, come in and ask me, you know, do you know what year it is? Do you know who the president is? Do you know your name and things like that? So obviously I cleared all that. And they were really a great staff, you know what I'm saying? They came in and would sit with me and talk to me for a few more minutes than they probably had to in some cases. Even the lady who was coming in there cleaning the room was nice, you know what I'm saying? She told me at the end, man, that it really touched my heart, because the day I was leaving, she came in there to clean the room, and she was like, you know, I saw you laying there, and I was just praying for you that you were gonna come back. And you know, that really touched my heart, that someone who had no idea who I was would say something or even think to pray for me, because just to get on a religious note for a second, it was the prayers of the people around me that brought me through that. You know, before I went under, I was in there yelling Bible verses at the nurse staff and whatnot. You know, I was in full. I was just going, man. It was just crazy. Just the kind of stuff I was saying in there. But yeah, I couldn't even walk the first couple of days. My voice was like barely above a whisper, you know. So it took several days for me to get my strength back just to even be able to leave the hospital. And even when I left at the end of August, I couldn't walk a flight of stairs without being out of breath. I couldn't do a lot of things that I would normally do. It took 2 weeks basically for me to recover. They expected it to take more like 3 months, but I was determined to not be defeated by this shit. You know what I'm saying? It was tough, because I thought I was gonna have to use a walker. I was like, nah, I'm gonna have to fight that. You know what I'm saying? It was weird to me to not be able to breathe normally. Like every time I took a deep breath in, I would cough a little bit. My lungs were basically blasted out. Like I did an X-ray on them, whatever, all the capillaries enlarged. So it's gonna have some other effects, like weird things, like my toes and fingers will get numb sometimes. That never used to happen. If I eat food and I'm getting full, my body now will actually, I start coughing, and that lets me know that I'm getting full. I should stop eating now. Because like one time I ate too much food after I got out of the hospital and I threw up. So it's like, okay, now I got like a...
So this thing has some weird residual effects on the body, man. So
definitely. People need to take it serious in all ways. I'm only talking about it publicly because I think more people need to understand the real impacts that it has on you as an individual, just going through the sickness, but then the financial backside of what can occur from it.
that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. Y'all better hear these words I'm about to tell you, because this is speaking to the problem of the cost of our healthcare system.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in there chilling, you know, I'm at home chilling, whether the bills start coming in, you know, from the hospital and whatnot. Now, a decision I made several months ago is helping me now. When y'all go out and you pick your health insurance plans, do not pick the bottom health insurance plan at your job. always try to pick number 1 or number 2 on a 4-part list. I happened to pick number 2 because number 1 was just too expensive to pay for. Thank God I did that.
That's the one thing you gotta splurge on, y'all.
Yeah.
Health insurance.
Yeah, the health insurance, I was with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I went to all the medical providers in network. So the first day at Spotsylvania Regional Medical, that one day I was there, one day, $33,000. One day. Okay. They have all those little tiny bills attached to it, but the one that stands out is $33,000. And then I had to be airlifted by helicopter from there to Chippenham. That bill was $53,000 for a 50-mile helicopter ride. Then I was at Chippenham.
Yeah, 86, right?
Yeah, that's 86 right there.
Yeah, 86.
And then my total stay at Chippenham, I got a bill in the mail for, sit down, y'all, $544,000.
Man. Shout out to Chippendale.
No, Chippenham.
Chippendale, man. Shout out to the health.
Chippendale ain't one Chippendale helped me. Chippendale was not gonna help me at all. Shit. Yeah, bro. $544,000 for my entire stay and care and everything that was in Chippenham. I was in ICU for 2 weeks, unconscious on a ventilator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so altogether we're looking at what?
$250,000, yeah,
More than that,
$500,000.
86 plus 544. So that's actually 720, I think. Or 60, no, 720. Yeah.
20.
Yeah, and now what's real ridiculous?
That's $720,000.
Yeah, let me tell you how ridiculous it really is, though. So I see what my health insurance paid versus what they charged. Okay, Chippenham's system charged me $544,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield paid $97,000. Now I want to know how many of y'all gonna accept $20 if somebody owe you $100.
No, but they accept $97,000 out of $720,000.
No. I'm just talking about the hospital stay at Chippenham. They accepted $97,000 out of $544.
So that's what your insurance pays?
Yeah, they paid $97,000.
And they were cool with it.
They because they were in the Blue Cross Blue Shield network,
They
and
were in
now
that
suing me
network.
for the rest of it. It's done.
They working together.
Yeah, they work together.
They
And
work
then
together.
the 33,000 one, they paid I think 26 on that. They have to accept it. And then the helicopter
26,000?
26,000 of the 33,000.
Okay.
So you saying they paid the 92?
They paid $97,000 on $544,000.
So basically it was almost like settling. They settled.
Basically.
Oh, okay.
And they tell you on the bill that you're not responsible for the rest of this. The only reason I'm putting these numbers out there and putting this business out there is so that people can really understand the connection that your healthcare has to your wallet. Because if anybody normally would get a $700,000 bill, you're gonna go back, you bankrupt.
Yeah.
When that hits, you're gonna declare bankruptcy, right? So, yeah, I was fortunate enough that a decision that I made many months ago came back to fruition. I made the right choice, obviously. If I had chosen the bottom dollar insurance, I might not be sitting here right now. Because they have a
You
choice.
can't give him the ventilator, man.
Yeah, and they won't. They won't.
Man, that ain't
Yeah.
Imagine if you didn't have insurance.
If you don't have insurance or you have cheapo insurance, you are taking a risk with your life, especially during this time right now. Real talk.
Man, that ain't even funny, man.
It's not, because someone has to make a decision to hook you up to a machine. It ain't just your family's decision. The hospital got to make that decision too. Now, if you got no insurance versus a person who does have insurance, who do you think they're going to choose? The person they're going to get paid from. And that's the core problem with the healthcare system. Is
So that may be why they say it's attacking blacks and Hispanics more, or killing blacks and Hispanics more. It could be that it comes down to the health insurance that blacks and Hispanics have.
There's a whole list of reasons why. I'll go through some of them. Like number one, it transmits easier in our community because we all brown and black people in this country have a tendency to not be in a house. We have a tendency to be
in apartments,
and we might be in a house where we have multiple people or multiple family members living in the same house. Well, when you can have a house, it's easy to quarantine when you have a X amount of square feet in a basement. You know, it's easy to quarantine if someone gets the virus or whatnot. That's one area. Then you're looking at who are the grocery store workers? Who are the medical care people?
Front line.
Who are the frontline employees typically?
Yeah.
They're typically black and brown people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they have a higher chance of catching a disease, not just COVID. There's other things that still kill you out there. Like, keep forgetting, AIDS ain't going nowhere. The measles still exist for some people. There's other things out there still. So
I know, but when you think about the COVID though, is it that it's infecting us more, or it's just happening to kill us once we get infected with it more? Because that's the thing.
I think it's both.
Well, if it's affecting more of us,
Yeah.
then it's going to kill more.
Yeah.
But,
there's a chance.
but it could just be killing more of us, but it's affecting us the same, but it's killing more of us because of that would make me say, oh, it's the insurance. But if it's just infecting more of us, I would say.
It's a genetics thing too, I think. I think there's just some people that are more susceptible to getting it. Like women have a tendency to recover from it easier and better than men. That's just a known fact at this point, that it affects seniors in general. That group is a risk group, but males have a higher tendency to have trouble with it than females. Unfortunately, there have been people around me who've gotten it, and most of the I don't personally know a female yet that has passed from it, but I do know several males who have passed from it. A good friend of mine passed from it earlier on, and I was like, when he got it, and he was a physician himself, he was a pharmacist. I was like, okay, this is really something to be, worried about. And it just has more of an impact on us. I don't have the answers for why that is or whatever. I just know what my own experience has been. I dealt with it for 2 weeks in the hospital, hooked to a ventilator. You know what I'm saying? My wife, she got it, but she was able to get over it much quicker, much more effectively than I was.
Man, so being that you contracted this, survived it, how did this change your perspective on life? And you thinking you're gonna die, man, and you start reevaluating things, and
you definitely think about things differently.
So with that being said, what are some of the things that you want to be known for, or your legacy, or your work that you're doing here? What was going through your mind?
Well, when I came out, more so, at first I thank God for allowing me to live through it. Because if a different decision was made by the Creator, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So I give thanks daily for that, and grateful for that, first and foremost. Then I'm grateful for all the people that prayed for me and did things to help my family while I was down. When you lose 2 weeks of your life, well, really 3 weeks of your life, due to something, you come back, you just have a different perspective on everything that's happening around you. So it is very easy for me now to drain the emotion out of things that don't really mean nothing. A lot of times people get caught up in arguments and problems, and if you just take the emotion out of the situation and really look at the situation, you be like, that's done. Let me hold up on that. And I'm not like a super emotional person, but everybody's got, their things. I just look at the world with a different perspective. Now, I've had run-ins with death before. Quite honestly, I almost drowned a couple times, been in clubs that's been shot up. I've been in car accidents where the car flipped over and I walked out the situation. And then now this is the most recent and probably the most serious of all of them, because I was within inches of not coming through it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm more driven to get things done than I ever have, but not driven in an emotional way or I want. I'm just taking action, making things happen.
Yeah.
Everybody should do that. We're in a time now where, we always hear the expression, tomorrow's not promised. We take that statement for granted, but literally tomorrow is not promised.
It's so real.
It's so real.
More than ever, tomorrow's not promised. Like, I think that the overall experience of the pandemic should wake a lot of people up, just in general, politically, socially, morally, financially, everything. Because it's kind of like, it's like a plague in a sense, but it's something that people need to really look at with a different set of eyes so they can see the impact on their own individual life. That's why I think in the big scheme of things, we lost all the stuff that people use to distract themselves. Sports, events, concerts, all of it.
I know, man, it's been one of the most rewarding things for me. Cause I'm learning new skills, learning how to work with tools and stuff, man.
Yeah, we'll get you focused.
So so
If you use the time wisely, you know,
definitely.
just take it. You gotta take it for what it is, you know.
yeah, man. I encourage y'all to pick up something new.
Definitely.
And just, I saw something online one day where somebody was talking about procrastination is your arrogance and thinking that you have all the time in the universe to do whatever it is you want to do. And that, you know, that really hit home for me because I'm a big procrastinator.
Yeah, I just told somebody the other day. That's my weakest, like procrastination.
Yeah, man, because you always think you have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Until you realize one day, you know what, I might not have tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And what this whole episode did for me in my life was make me realize I don't have tomorrow to make things right between me and the next person. I don't have tomorrow to fix this or finalize that. I don't have tomorrow to, you know, make my music available to people to hear. Like one thing I realized was I've got like thousands of songs I've created and they're all sitting in a machine that no one would know how to access if I was on tomorrow. So I gotta put more, I gotta do more output, I gotta create more.
Make it more accessible.
Yeah, just like graphics and different things that I do, if I don't push them out, they won't get out. You know what I'm saying? And it also made me realize that every completed project is a success. Like sometimes most people measure their success by how much money is in their bank account, but completing something makes you more of a success than having $1 million in the bank and 20,000 uncompleted things. You know what I mean? So the need to take action, make movement, complete things is bigger to me now than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those.
Man, speaking of that, it points out something that I've been dealing with this past week was the way the way the music industry is set up, it's all about that, right? Output.
Mm-hmm.
You put out the most to pick up from the algorithm and all that, but it really makes me feel like I feel like that whole way of output or release isn't really suitable to my music, right? Like when you told me the other day, man, it's funny how you can make a CD and put it in 5 years later and it's still just as good as timeless music, but you just putting that out like it's fast food when it's really, it need to sit in the oven, you know what I mean? But you just putting it out, it really makes, it's taking my own music for granted by just flinging it out there. And it really had me thinking like, man, just taking all my stuff off Spotify, everything, and just get my own platform and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. So as a business person, you just gotta weigh that. When it comes to music, it's hard to make money purely from music. You have to use music as a stepping stone to other things.
Yeah.
And then make your money from things on the side that are residual income.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at Fat Joe's podcast, and he made this point, like when he got his check, when he got his bag, he went and bought things like Wingstops and Subways and those kind of established brands that we're familiar with, because you may be hot right now, right, in music, but you're not gonna be hot forever.
Right.
I mean, Earth, Wind & Fire had their day. They're not hot now. They made their money when they were at their prime.
But that music is timeless, bro.
It's timeless.
And I'm gonna tell you,
But my greater point is that you got to plan for those times when you're not.
I got you.
At the center of the
forefront.
game.
I'm at the forefront. Because he'll tell me all the time, but it's your passion. It's your passion that keep you going, keep you doing this, you know? And when you were saying about the legacy, it really made me think like, man, I gotta put this stuff out, put these works out, so that, because this is my legacy. This will be an extension of what I did while I was here.
Exactly. You know, anything that you create or put your hands to is going to be a legacy for the future. So when you make a song, when you make a video, when you make a podcast, anything that can be listened to or looked at later, even this piece of art right here, whoever created this is their legacy, and it's okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The main thing that everybody has to realize is if you're trying to get to the point of being successful and wealthy, you have to realize you can be successful by yourself, but you can't get wealthy by yourself. It always takes a team to get wealthy. You know, but you can be successful every day. Just waking up and going to work is a success. So you want to use the word success. I mean, because take it from me, breath is valuable. So
Yeah.
When you're in the hospital trying to breathe,
Yeah.
and they got to put you on a machine to help you breathe, then that's the moment when you realize how valuable the breath you have is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It should never, I mean, I realized all this stuff before I went to the hospital and everything. I had a pretty good awareness of these things, but I'm just more on a driven mission than I probably have been for a few years. Like my drive is back, my burn is back. Because time is running out.
Yeah, man, I think this really helps because, I mean, me personally, I know my aunt had got sick and she thought maybe, you know, it was the virus that was never confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know anybody, you know, close that really went through, you know, the trenches of this virus.
Like this.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, yeah, I'm just telling y'all, man, it's serious because a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people and they're like, man, it ain't gonna get me or, you know, it ain't serious.
There's too much bullshit on social media about the virus.
Right.
And people like Donald Trump and other political people are not helping it by talking that foolishness they're talking. Like I saw this
Misinformation.
Yeah, misinformation is everywhere. Everyone thinks they know everything because they got a little platform on Facebook or whatever. Y'all don't know much. We don't know much. I don't know much.
I don't know much.
It's better, but it's better to have that perspective. I don't know enough. You know what I'm saying? Than to think you know that COVID was made in a lab and used to infect the black population. I'm not so sure.
It's spreading that around to everybody.
We don't know, man.
That's what we don't know,
know.
and we never will know. Honestly, there won't be anyone to confirm that. Even if they do, there'll be people that won't believe them, and vice versa. That's just how our world
I
is.
feel like even if it was, not knowing is better to take precaution than to just sit there and think it's nothing.
Oh yeah, you should take precaution,
Yeah.
definitely, because I don't know where I got it from. None of us could see microbes. I could have got it when I pumped gas. I could have got it at a job. I could have got it when I was DJing one night. I could have got it from giving someone a dap. I could have got it from getting food at a restaurant. I could have got it from picking up an item in the grocery store. Like, there's certain things I just don't do.
And see, there's certain things like that you can't protect yourself from.
You can't see microbes.
Yeah, you
Until you can see microbes, you need to be wearing a mask. You need to be doing the stuff they tell you to do. It's not 100%, but it's better than nothing. That's all we got. Until they create therapeutics and vaccines. And trust me, when they create the so-called vaccine, it ain't gonna be readily available to everybody. You know it's gonna cost something.
and people gotta trust it, man. That's the main thing. Cause I know, like the flu vaccine, man. A lot of people don't take it, including me. I don't fucking that shit, man.
I'm in that same boat.
And then like I was gonna say something about, you know, Trump being in the midst of all this. Like you said, man, he's the leader of the country and he's throwing everybody off, I feel like. If you're trying to push this vaccine out, it's not supposed to be ready until what, next year?
But that's what I'm saying, he was pressuring the FDA.
Yeah.
That's
because
he's get votes.
And then the CDC, man, they have no backbone. Like that director has no backbone, man.
Here's the problem, bro. The president of the United States is the executive. He controls the executive branch. The executive branch runs the CDC.
And he appointed him.
And he can appoint whoever he wants.
Yeah, but
he
that's giving you more reason to go against him, man.
No.
Save lives.
Bro, it ain't that easy.
See, it's just politics. That's what you tell me.
It is politics, but it's also self-preservation. You think the CDC director wants to lose his job?
Man, fuck that job.
Do you think he wants to lose his job?
No, but man, you gotta sacrifice for the greater good. But everybody ain't morally fit
I don't disagree with your point, but it's easy to say that when you don't have to put your
if you're not morally fit
man.
like that.
I don't care how morally fit you are. When that $1 million house is on the line, you can't make that house payment. You think about things like that before you take a stand.
And then he loses his job, gone, and that's it. Somebody else gonna be right.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. We should all want to stand up morally and do the right thing, but I can think of many situations where people will not do the right thing because they think of their own situation.
Your own benefit.
Benefit, or I got $1 million house note back here. I'm not losing my job over that.
See, man, shout out to Kaepernick, man. He took that stand.
Look at where
and he did that.
Yeah,
he's good though.
He's only good because they eventually decided to settle with him and they paid him out. At the end of the day, he still got a check from the NFL. It took a few years, but he did.
Yeah, but he was
we don't know how
checks
much
from Nike before that.
That endorsement from Nike didn't kick in until a little bit later. Here's the point. Yeah, you can take the chance to put everything on the line, but you know, you gotta look at what do people have going on in their background? Who they support? How many kids they got? What family member is in a hospice right
See, man, but when you talk like that, man, it makes me, it's like justification for the Republican Party.
now?
Because it's things they could
pause,
do.
full stop.
They in the same boat as the director, though.
No, bro, full stop. I don't support the Republican Party because
I
it's too
didn't
many
say you
idiots.
did. I didn't say you did. But that kind of rhetoric justifies their actions to say, hey, man, I got to look out for me. Let this fool do what he going to do.
I mean, because you got to look at it. Trump is temporary.
Is that not the same thing, though?
What I think what you're saying is not everybody can make that decision. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody bold enough to stand and be like, man, forget this.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't believe in
it's
it.
your moral compass.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's easy for us to judge.
And then you got your personal livelihood on the line.
It's easy for any of us to judge another man's walk. I'm not going to judge that man's walk at CDC because I don't know what he's got going on in his life.
Man.
I mean, yeah, I would love it if he just was like, oh, just, Trump is doing this, Trump is doing that. I would love it if he would come and tell the truth, but he's not going to. So let's not expect that. Let's take the remedy that's there for us. Make sure to vote out the wrong people. And vote
look, man. He said, really, they posted that people who are asymptomatic should not be tested. That came out from the CDC.
That's because the White House forced that.
Come on, dude. And you're going to sit there and go with that? You got the whole CDC, the whole scientist department ready to quit because you won't have no backbone?
Nah, I agree.
Come on, bro. That's a coward, man.
I don't disagree
Hold on,
with that.
what else he do? He needs to publicly speak out. There's you got all these people about to, look, the scientists are gonna walk out in an uproar and they already threatened to quit if Trump is reelected. These just some notes that I jotted down from some articles that I read.
See, those individuals will have to take that heat, and that's fine if they do that. Just like people who want to be whistleblowers. Once again, I'm going to remove the emotion out of it and look at it from the logical perspective. Yes, I would love if, what's his name, it's Redmond or Redfield, that's right, because he has the same name as the people in the Umbrella Corporation from that movie.
So when you sent me that Diddy, that link, the biggest thing, the one that really caught my ear was when he said something about black insanity.
Okay.
And the reason being is because, I don't know if y'all remember on that last episode, now insanity was we talking about you doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, but you're getting the same result. That's insanity. When we look at Is It Too Late, that was back in 75, 72. Same stuff was going on then. We've been doing, we was protesting, you know what I'm saying? We was standing up for our rights, the same thing that we doing now. So basically, black people were we insane, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it.
But it was the same discussion back then in 72, do we need our own party? The Democratic Party ain't getting it done. Politics in general, they ruled out because they didn't really have faith in it like we still don't really today because it's still not representative of us.
Right.
Well, how would a so-called black political party look, first of all? First, it would be ostracized if that were to come to fruition.
You
gotta think about the way this country is set up.
They would make it like that.
Yeah, exactly. It would be seen as the other just off bat.
But
and then we have less voice than we have now. Now, the Democratic Party is, I'll be the first one to say, it's not perfect. But one thing I get tired of is people bringing up 100-year-old things where the Democratic Party was the racist party of the South. We all know the history. We know the Republicans freed slaves. That was a long ass time ago and it doesn't apply.
Because you can't sit here and say that the slaves will be voting for Donald Trump and the Republican
Exactly.
Party.
That's the connection they try to make. That's
foolishness. Not even violent.
That's just foolishness. It's what black folks have to do is basically use their vote in order to get the power they need to get. And this is why I push that you must go out and vote. It's your civic duty to vote. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Well, if it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to suppress your vote. If it didn't matter that you voted, they wouldn't be trying to stop you from voting. So clearly, it's probably the one thing in American society that's the most pure. They actually have to count the numbers, and the numbers affect the Electoral College, which affects who becomes president. The president is not going to solve all your problems. No president will. black, white, purple, don't matter. They're not going to solve your problems. But what you have to realize is any decision that a president makes or a Supreme Court makes or Congress makes affects millions of people at the same time. Do you want to be one of the millions of people that's poor because of the decision they make? Or do you want to have an effect on their decision to make sure you're not in the poorhouse or high probability going to jail or less or worse health care? These are the things that make voting important. Yes, it sucks to stand in line, but you stand in line for shoes. You stand in line for food.
We gotta do whatever it takes this time around.
I want to tell you all the ways that
No matter
people stand in
what
line.
it takes.
Yeah, and the thing is, regardless of how they make this black political party look, it's something different. We're taking a different route. It's
Yeah.
never been done before.
But
So we gotta put all the power into it, I feel like.
we can attempt it. I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but what I'm worried about happening, because the United States is set up as a bicameral system, so everything is split into twos. Having a third, all that having a black political party is going to do at this point in history and time is give the Republican Party more power, because it's going to pull all the votes away from the Democratic Party. Okay? So if you do that, then you're going to have a Republican Party on steroids making policy decisions like outlawing abortion, setting up more strict police guidelines, making the police brutality issue worse than it already is, ignoring poverty, ignoring child mortality rates in the black community, ignoring the black community's crime problem. That's what's going to happen if we create a so-called black political party.
You saying that's what the Republicans will be doing?
That's what they're already trying to do now.
Right.
So if you pull votes away from the Democratic Party for this third party we're talking about, all you're doing is weakening half of the.
Yeah, but my thing is, you know, that agenda that the black party would have does the Democrats have that as an agenda?
No, they're not.
If they don't have that as an agenda, then we need our own, regardless of what is going
Some
to
things some things that the Democratic Party stands for will help us as well. What's going to happen is the philosophy of the Democratic Party is if you help everybody, the tide rises for all at the same time. Okay. The Republican philosophy is if you help the wealthiest people, the money that they make will trickle down to the people at the bottom. That's not what happens. It trickles to their pockets and it stops. Okay. So, what will be the goal of creating an African American political party? I don't even want to call it a black political party because that just sounds crazy to me. An African American based political party is a third option. It's only going to split from the Democratic Party that exists right now in its first few years, especially. How are we going to
maybe not.
How are we going to pull other people into that?
Maybe it will.
Can we?
Maybe it will bring some Republicans in.
I just think a political party based on race is a bad idea. A political party should be based on politics and political policies, not the color of your skin, not your ethnic background. That's what the Republicans tried to do when they created the Southern strategy in the 70s. What they did was they split the Democratic vote by going after those Democratic Southerners that were racist and were mad about civil rights laws being pushed on them from their perspective. And they used that as a means to basically control and dominate the South politically for the last 40 years.
So I see, so folks, I see it's more like he's speaking as like a divide and conquer, right? If you divide the Democratic Party, he's just hypothetically saying that all of the people that are in this black party are coming from the Democratic Party, which may not necessarily be true, but hypothetically.
I mean, more.
It will divide and conquer the Democratic Party because we're split now.
Exactly.
This is the election we talked about. If you're not voting for Biden or Trump and you voting for somebody else, that's another vote for.
That's a vote for Trump.
Yeah.
If you go in and you write Kanye West's name in or Ronald Reagan's name in, you helping Trump get reelected. That's foolishness.
Because you take
Every election is two choices: beef or steak. Ain't no chicken on the menu. Ain't no turkey on the menu. Beef.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Well, rather I should say
Yeah,
chicken.
yeah.
Beef and steak is the same thing, right? Chicken or steak. Okay. Turkey and fish ain't on the menu. So we ain't got no options. That's why I get tired of seeing people on social media. Oh, we need more choices. Well, where were you during the primaries? Where were you when these candidates were selected to begin with? That's where the control is. The number one group of people that are keeping the Democratic Party strong right now is black women. Period. End of story. That's why Kamala Harris being on the ticket is so important. Because it's going to motivate them theoretically to go out and vote more in that direction. Because some people do vote like that.
So we need feedback, y'all. We've been talking about this for like the past 2-3 episodes. So, you know, y'all leave some comments, man. Like, subscribe, share the video to your friends. But before we get out of here, we gotta do the no cap trivia. You know,
Cap trivia time.
cap or no cap. And we got our guests, so you gotta do the honors, man. What's one thing about you that we don't know, or something that cap or no cap we gonna call it?
Cap or no cap? I would say, I don't know, it just, you know, I'm a musician and all that kind of stuff, you know, I've been doing music and different things.
Yeah.
So, one of my 5 senses does not work correctly. So the cap or no cap question is, can you guess which sense it is? One of the 5 senses does not work properly.
I know what it is, too. I know what it is. Go ahead, Reese.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you.
You know which sense it is, your son?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Well, then I guess I gotta say no cap. But the sense I'm gonna say is, you can't see without your glasses, right? So,
Nice try, that's not. I'm not blind. That's just a little blurry. That's.
I'm gonna call it because of the irony in it. It's your ears, your hearing.
Yeah, it's my left ear. I'm definitely my left ear. But even though I've been doing music since.
And he's a DJ, y'all.
A DJ and a musician that came here out of his left ear.
Y'all let him know, man. How he sound on that Domination album. He did the mix.
Yeah.
You know, with the one ear, so.
Yeah, it was when I was a baby, I was dropped, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, and that basically caused all these neurological issues, I guess, with my ears. 'Cause I used to go to the children's hospital, and they were trying to figure out why I couldn't hear out of my left ear and stuff. So,
Man, that's no cap.
yeah, you've been through some things, man.
yeah,
You've been through some things, bro. That's a blessing, man, that you still here with all you've been through.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have the typical story that most people have or that you would expect from a brother, but yeah, I've been through a lot, but you know, God and the Creator, you know, He's pulled me through a lot. You know what I'm saying? I give thanks for that a lot. I don't really talk about religion a lot to some people because some people can't accept that, but at some point you're gonna come face to face with your own mortality. You're gonna have to talk to somebody, and humans ain't gonna do it.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that, man. And that's what I'm saying, because sometimes, you know, it's just to be at peace, right? To be grateful to be alive, even though life can get real shitty. You know, but like Devin said, even shittier was sleeping on the ground.
I found the good in the coronavirus situation. In spite of all that I went through, I still tried to find the positive in it. Hey, I lost a lot of weight. I needed to lose weight anyway. Like when I was in hospital, one thing I realized that they don't give you for food, they never give you bread. They never give you bread.
That's good, because it's just turning the sugar in your stomach.
Yeah, and it's what makes you fat, honestly.
Yeah.
But just learn more about health and different things I need to do for myself. And just, I like to have a positive attitude. I think that if you think positive, positive will happen. If you do good, good will happen. So a lot of times people are the creators of their own heaven or hell. I learned that a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? If you instill your mind with the right kind of thoughts and you speak out of your mouth as positive as possible, and we all get down, things happen. But if you do those things, you'll find that your life experience will be more often positive than negative.
And then just say them, speak them, believe it, then forget about it, right? Don't like obsess over it, right?
I wouldn't say obsessed, but you gotta have some consistency in what you believe.
Okay.
You know, I
So
consistently
you gotta
believe.
genuinely believe it that way.
Yeah, I know certain things about myself and the world at large, and I just operate from that place. You know what I'm saying? I try not to impose it too much on other people because people don't want to accept the truth sometimes.
Okay.
The truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. Just like my pastor say, you can choose to try and go a different way, but what you'll find over time is that the truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not.
So what's one song you recommend that we did that for the outro?
Oh, a song? Well, when I got out of the hospital, I was really gravitated to Jay-Z, Sean.
No, man, this is our we're talking about our
our music.
Yeah.
Born Rich, man. Born Rich, definitely. Because even before I went to hospital, that's one song of ours that I listen to on a consistent basis.
Part 1, Part 2?
Part 2.
Part 2?
Yeah. It's
You didn't produce that one though.
Nope. But it's one of my favorite songs off the project, just because it hits me right here when I listen to it. Just what you were saying,
Yeah.
lyrics and whatnot.
Yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah,
I
powerful.
like that when y'all did, talking about need love. Going back to that old shit.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
Start Making Love?
Yeah, Start Making Love, yeah. Now I didn't use that.
Okay. Yeah, that was, man, that's one of my favorite ones off the album, man. That's what we need though now, man. We just need love, man. We going into this election. Y'all take this serious, man. Once again, this is the main part of this episode. I feel like take this serious. We got a man right here that survived it. We tell you firsthand, so
Vote, man.
What your gift is, what you're rich in, what your wish is. Domi Dow Jones be the business. Told 'em born rich, ain't believe till they witness. Rags the richest, started from a ghetto sick kid. Been there, running the streets since I was this big. Get chicks running it back, that's what a pimp did. Get flato mama stack, that's what the flip did. Fold up under some pressure, that's what a simp did. You ain't gon' be nothing, that's what a simp said. I believe the world is mine, that's what a blimp said. Thought of born rich when I was still poor. Saw it with my eyes closed and my nose to the floor. Rose to the occasion after told I never make it. I was never stagnant, I was being patient. Drawing from my gift in the midst of a mixtape. In the middle of Martin and X, rich for his sake. Born rich.
I can turn nothing into something, so you know I'm keeping hustling. And you know I'm always flying, keep my head up high. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich, yeah. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born, maybe 'cause I'm born. Maybe I was born rich.
Born rich. Everything I ever needed, I was born with. Anything that I ever wanted, I'm gon' get. Good life, pretty wife to go with the fortress. Pretty cars for my dogs with the horses. Long as we know we worth more than them Porsches. And they ain't half what the story about. Money settled, had to open several different bank accounts. I'm from the ghetto, it's a pleasure just to make it out. All blacks born rich, just something to think about. I'm taking off the ceiling, what a wonderful feeling. And some beautiful music, what a soulful healing. Once was poet potential, I know the feeling. 1,000 bands one at a time till I gross a million. Do you know what it means to be rich when you're birth? Who sustains the kings and queens that don't know they worth? Born rich.
I can turn nothing into something, so you know I'm keeping hustling. And you know I'm always flying, keep my head up high. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich, yeah. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born, maybe 'cause I'm born. Maybe I was born rich. I can turn nothing into something, so you know I'm keeping hustling. And you know I'm always flying, keep my head up high. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich, yeah. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born rich. Maybe 'cause I'm born, maybe 'cause